Berachot, 3rd chapter, Mishnah. Mishnatenu mosifa lelamed din Baal keri. Our Mishnah is continuing to teach us the law of somebody who had an emanation come out of it, sexual emanation, לעניין תפילת 18, to the matter of davening 18, davening בעמידה. שכן תקנת עזרא הייתה, Ezra made a decree, בין לדברי תורה, בין לתפילה. He made a decree that one should not have learned Torah or daven if he had the relationships. And the reason for that was to bring down the amount of times that the husbands will be with their wives, that they're not going to be concerned with sexual relationships so much. Beram, הרמב"ם כותב, the Rambam though disagrees, and he writes, שעזרא לא תיקן טבילה לבעל קרי, אלא לדברי תורה. That Ezra only made a decree only for learning Torah, but not for davening. ובית דין שעמדו אחר כך התקינו שבעל קרי אסור אף בתפילה. And the court that stood after Ezra, they established that the Baal keri, somebody who had a relationship, shouldn't even daven. ולא יתפלל, and he shouldn't pray, עד שיטבול, until he's going to go to the mikveh. היה עומד בתפילה, the Mishnah starts, a person started 18. He's in the middle of 18. ונזכר שהוא בעל קרי, and then he remembered that he had relationships last night, he forgot. And he davened. והרי אסור לו להתפלל עד שיטבול. He remembered that he is forbidden to daven until he's going to go to the mikveh. לא יפסיק תפילתו לגמרי. He shouldn't discontinue his davening completely. Shouldn't stop completely. אלא יקצר. But he should shorten his davening. כל ברכה וברכה. Each blessing he should make it shorter in the 18 itself. דהיינו, which means שלא יאמר אלא פתיחתה וחתימתה. He should only say the beginning and the end of each bracha. כגון, for example, he should say, אתה חונן לאדם דעת. It says, you bestow to a person knowledge. ברוך אתה השם חונן הדעת. Thank you, Lord, for giving us knowledge. ירד בעל הקרי לטבול. What happens if the person who had relationship went down to the mikveh בבוקר, in the morning? אם יכול להפסיק לעלות מן התפילה, if he is able to come up and come up from the mikveh, ולהתכסות בטליתו, and to cover himself, to be modest, ולקרות שמע, and read the Shema, עד שלא תנצח חמה, at the time when the sun peaks over the horizon, it's called the time of נצח חמה, קודם שתנצח חמה, before the sun would peak, שכך היא המצווה מן המובחר, because this is the best way to do the reading of the Shema when just at the time as the sun comes up. כמו ששנינו לעיל, א' ב', like we learned before. וגומרה עד נצח חמה. And he should finish it, that's what it says, the Shema, until the sun completely peaks over the horizon. וכאן, היו נוהגים ותיקים, and this is how the ותיקים used to do it. Who are the ותיקים? ענבים, those people who are modest, ומחביבי המצוות, and they endear the commandments. שהיו מדקדקים לגמור קריאת שמע, they were very precise to read the Shema, עם הנצח חמה, at the time that the sun peaks over the horizon. כדי לסמוך גאולה לתפילה, in order to put together the redemption to davening, כמו שהבאנו לעיל, just like we explained before, to put the Shema together with the 18. So what should he do? If he noticed that he has enough time, so he says, יעלה ויתכסה ויקרא, he should come out of the mikveh, cover himself, and then read. קריאת שמע של שחרית, the Shema of שחרית. ואם לאו, and if he sees that he doesn't have enough time, שאינו יכול להספיק לעלות ולקרוא קודם שתנצח המה, he won't have enough time to go up and to read the Shema before the sun comes up, יתכסה במים ויקרא. He is allowed to cover himself within the water and read. כלומר, what does that mean? שיכניס עצמו עד צווארו לתוך המים, he should dip himself until his neck inside the water, שהוא עומד בהם, that he stands inside them, ויקרא שמע, and he should read the Shema. ודווקא כשהמים אינם צלולים, we're talking only if the water is not clear. שלא יהיה ליבו רואה ערוותו, because if the water is clear, then he's not modest. His heart can see his lower region. אבל כשהמים צלולים, but when the water is completely clear, אסור לו לקרוא, he's not allowed to read the Shema, כשהוא עומד בתוך המים, when he is standing inside the water, because it is not modest. אבל לא יתכסה לא במים הרעים, but he should not cover himself with dirty water, הסרוחים, like extremely dirty water, או מי רגליים, or if the water is pee, he's not allowed to stand in them. ולא במי המשרה, and not in the waters of משרה. Now, what are those waters of משרה? מים ששורים בהם פשטן, this is water that you put flax inside, שריחם רע, that they stink. עד שיטיל לתוכן מים יפים, until he's going to put into them good water. In other words, he's going to dilute them to such an extent that he'll be able to go into the mikveh in such. בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, שפסקה זו מוסבר מרגליים. When we're talking about diluting it, we're not talking about the regular stuff. We're talking about diluting it. This is if you have a person went to the bathroom, he peed right in front of himself. Somebody else peed over there. שלא יקרא אצלם עד שיטיל לתוכן מים. That he's not allowed to say the Shema in such a vicinity of that somebody went to the bathroom. בשיעור של רביעית למי רגליים של פעם אחת. He says, how much should he dilute it? He should take a quart, a cup with a quart, and dilute the pee over there and of going to the bathroom once. וכמה ירחיק מהם? If a person wants to read the Shema, how far does he have to be away from this bad water? ממים הרעים, from the pee, or ממי המשרה, or from the stinking water, like we said before, from the flax. ויש מפרשים, there are those who explain, מהם, what's from them, ממי רגליים שלא יתיחם תוך המים, from the water that is not pure into them water. So it's either both, the stinky water for other reasons, or it's talking specifically about pee. ומן הצואה, or from any excrement, כדי שיהיה רשאי לקרוא שמע, so how far away one has to be from all these things in order to be able to read the Shema. So it says 4 amot, he needs to be at least 4 amot away from it, which is about 2 1/3 of a meter. במה הדברים אמורים? What are we talking about that it needs to be aside 4 amot away? כשהוא מתרחק לצדדים או לאחוריו, when he's moving away to the sides, or he's moving away from it, which means that it is behind him. אבל לפניו, but if the excrement or the pee is in front of him, צריך להרחיק עצמו כמלוא עיניו. He needs to remove himself from that place until he cannot see it anymore. כלומר, עד שאינו רואה אותם, until he cannot see them.